He was nominated for 8 Academy Awards. He was on the Time 100 list for the artists and entertainers of this century, and New York Times said he was quite simply one of the most celebrated and influential screen and stage actors of the post-war era. Today I'll give you a brief overview of the childhood, adult life, and career of Marlon Brando. His childhood started out just like any other, but he was soon subject to disastrous behavior. He was born in Omaha, Nebraska on April 3, 1924. His birth rounded out the family, which consisted of his mother and father, Marlon Sr. and Dorothy, and his 2 sisters, Jocelyn and Frances. To his family and those closest to him, he was known simply as Bud. Growing up, he has very few fond memories of his parents. His father was an alcoholic who often ignored his son. In his book, he wrote, "Nothing I did ever pleased or interested him." Although he was unaware for most of the time, his mother was also an alcoholic. She was seldom home when he was growing up, and he was raised by a nanny. When he was 6 years old, they moved to Illinois, and his mother continued to drink more than ever, and the nanny left to get married. Marlon turned into sort of a rebel. He was flunking school, stealing, and shooting birds. This all led to a fierce reaction from his father. His parents separated when he was 11, and they moved to California. After 2 years, they reconciled, and he moved back. He continued to be a poor student, so his father sent him to Shattuck Military Academy in Minnesota. He was expelled after 2 years. Now I will talk about his adult life. Leaving home was the first step for Marlon to become an adult. He moved to New York City in 1943 and moved into his sister's apartment in Greenwich. While there, he worked as an elevator operator, a sandwich man, a short order cook, and a server. He also attended school at the New School for Social Research and attended classes at the Actors Studio. He was expelled after 1 year. His family problems seemed to follow him to New York City. His mother and his father separated, so she moved into his apartment, but broke promise after promise to stop drinking. Again, his parents reconciled, so she moved back. It was during this time that he fell into a deep depression. The Army also seemed to follow him to New York City. Shattuck Military Academy was sending him letter after letter begging him to come back. And the Army tried to draft him into the Korean War. To avoid being drafted, he said he was a psychoneurotic and was receiving medical attention. Throughout his adult life, he found many loves, the first coming in the form of the infamous Marilyn Monroe. They continued their relationship on and off until 2 days before she died. He also had a relationship with a woman who turned out to be his stalker. Although he had many girlfriends, he only married 3 times. The first, Anna, lasted 2 years, and they had 1 child. The second, Movita, also lasted 2 years, and they had 2 children. And the third lasted 10 years, to Tarita, and they also had 2 children. In 2002, Maria Ruiz filed a lawsuit saying that he was the father of her 3 children. Towards the end, he suffered mentally and physically. He had let himself go and attained a weight of 350 pounds. He snuck in Burger King Whoppers at night and bought ice cream 5 gallons at a time. His eldest son was convicted of the murder of his half-sister's boyfriend, who then later on turned out to commit suicide. He was only absent from the stage for 3 years when he died in 2004 at the age of 80 from pulmonary fibrosis. His personal life was only made complete by his success as an actor. His career started off slow, but soon took off. He began acting at the New School and took offers in Long Island, doing reprises of productions where he starred in 12th Night. He was expelled from the New School because he accepted a real acting job in I Remember Mama in October 1944. He also took the lead in A Streetcar Named Desire in 1947. He took his first movie deal with The Men, which was about veterans. And since he's a method actor, he actually got permission to be admitted into a veteran hospital to act like he was an injured veteran, to learn how they act. He also starred in the movie adaptation of A Streetcar Named Desire, Julius Caesar, The Wild One, On the Waterfront, and The Godfather. He received several of his Oscars, sending other people up to give his speeches. After a 3-year hiatus, he appeared in Superman and Apocalypse Now. An interesting fact off of the International Movie Database, he actually received more money for his small role in Superman than Christopher Reeve did for the title role. He retired for a decade when he returned in a dry white season. It was his 8th and final Oscar. In conclusion, he had a rough childhood, a whirlwind of being an adult, but he will always be remembered as one of America's favorite actors. And he would give you an offer you can't refuse.